Hey, movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 218. Mario is laying waste to all who dare oppose him and his gloved fist of fury.
Yes.
Also, Mario is already the highest grossing movie of 2023, and I kind of really love that.
Absolutely.
Because Josh and I both said that it would be the highest grossing movie of the year, and I don't see that stopping. It is going to go unchallenged for most of this month, honestly. But in the spirit of video games, we're going to go, okay, we've got a lot of adaptations. Some, Last of Us, Super Mario, are really great. Some are, points for trying, Uncharted. And then others, Halo. But we're going to talk about the ones that still have not gotten an adaptation yet, with the caveat they cannot be actively in development.
Correct.
So, like, Josh's God of War movie / TV series, whatever Amazon's doing with that. I'm not going to talk Gears of War, just because I feel like Gears of War has been in limbo forever. Borderlands is completely done. It's just a matter of what are they doing with it? That's a weird one. But yeah, we're going to do movies that are, to our knowledge, not actively in development, but given the success of Mario, I would imagine that a bunch of these will soon be announced or greenlit in the near future. But Josh, how you doing tonight?
Chilling like a villain, my dude. As always. Work was good. Life's good. We're chilling. I got some art books in, so I'm getting ready to draw up another storm. You know, man, we're just chilling over here.
You watch anything good lately?
Yes. Oh my gosh. This week. Okay, first of all, let's hit the normal ones. So obviously, Mandalorian season 6, fantastic, love it, love the direction we're going, but not episode
6 of season 3.
Thing.
Also, like the fact that you're saying it's a great episode. Wow,
I enjoyed it thoroughly. Like maybe I'm not as thrown by like cameos, but like
or
first
Thrawn.
Of all, I mean, there's that too, yeah, obviously, but still, like I don't know who's out here saying they hate Jack Black cameos, but you need to like suck it up, guys. Come on, this is Jack Black. Like that's so cool to me. I love that.
So let's talk Mando this past week because I hate to say it, but I've kind of gone into Mando this season not feeling as much of a sense of urgency as previous seasons of like, I need to see it. It used to be routine for me of every Wednesday before I'd go to work, I'd get up extra early, make sure I see it before I go to work. I will go a day or two at least before seeing a Mando episode nowadays, just because it doesn't feel as high priority. And this one especially, everyone was clamoring about how bad it was and how shoehorned in the cameos were. So I was expecting the worst. Y'all have made a monetary career out of bashing Star Wars, whether it makes sense for you or not, because I tried to explain to my parents this past weekend when we went out to lunch for Easter. I was like, I'm glad y'all aren't on the internet to understand that there's a growing number of quote unquote fans in the Star Wars community that just make money off of complaining about Star Wars, and this was more fuel to their fire. So I thought going into it, this was going to be a terrible episode. It was like every other episode this season. It's really not that bad. Am I annoyed that Mando's kind of taking a back seat? Yeah, but that's not this episode's problem. That's the entire season's problem.
Agreed. Yeah, I'll give you that.
In regards to the cameos, I actually didn't mind 2 out of the 3 of them.
Yes.
I do think Jack Black was not the right choice here, but that's because as I love Jack Black, and I only see Jack Black in this. It's one of those of just like Star Wars doesn't typically have face cameos like this because it immediately takes you out of the world. Like Star Wars always kind of prides itself on taking unknown actors, or if they do have big name actors, Daniel Craig, they just do the voice. So Jack Black did take me out of it a little bit, just going, that's Jack Black. And maybe it's because I'm not as familiar with Lizzo as I am Jack Black.
That's fair.
She didn't take me out nearly as much as Jack Black did. I think she was just fine. People need to just get off the lady. Like, she put a whole bunch of stuff on social media about like it's a dream come true. So was I the biggest fan of those 2 characters in particular? Not really. But were they the worst thing ever? Guys, Star Wars is so much worse. That being said, Christopher Lloyd fit like a glove in this universe to me. He actually felt like he made a lot of sense. how the episode resolves itself is a little weird. Of just like, I hate you. Go to timeout. Okay. Will you forgive me
Yeah.
someday? Like, that was kind of the weirdest resolution. And also, like, this character that we're just only introducing at the beginning of this episode just kind of completely switches back to another team by the end of the episode. I was like, we should have established that character sooner on this season here, because it felt a little weird. I didn't hate it nearly as much as other people. Maybe just because I don't monetize my hatred for Star Wars. I will just like the things that I like. It's not that complicated, people. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's maybe I enjoy, because I just enjoy Jack Black in almost everything, and so for me, I was more excited that like he was there. Maybe I don't know. To me, like, I really enjoyed the pairing of Lizzo and Jack Black more than anything else. I felt that they fed off each other very well. And again, kind of like to your point, I don't like. I just watch Mando and enjoy it. I don't like have any expectations for it. It just does its thing, and I figure it out if I enjoy it or not. Like, I don't get all the hate.
also,
it just doesn't make sense.
I think because of all the hate of just like the camos are forced. Lizzo is a woman. How dare a woman be in my Star Wars stuff? You know, I'm sure those Star Wars sweats are handling the whole Bo-Katan situation completely rationally. And all the completely negative stuff, I think we're overlooking something that honestly is not just my favorite thing about this episode, but one of my favorite elements of the season that I didn't think I would really love, but it was how they portrayed the droids in this episode.
Yeah.
Of just like, the droids have their own little bar that, while they never blatantly call attention to it, it felt like the bar in episode 4. I was really expecting one of the robots at one point to say, "We don't serve your kind here," like as a yin to the yang type situation. But also, like, droids are like, yeah, we don't have a purpose in existing. We are created by organics. We must serve the organics. We want to have good rapport with the organics. When they start killing people, it will deactivate us, and we want to be alive. I'm going, I'm having an existential crisis. Staring at the wall. Like,
I really, really liked how it definitely calls into question Mando's why he hates droids, and whether he thinks it's founded in reality or not, if it's even okay to have in every situation. Let's talk a little briefly here about the Bo-Katan centering, because I think it's interesting to me that she's slowly starting to become the main character, which I don't know about you. I kind of like. Bo-Katan is slowly, for me, becoming a way more interesting character than Mando. And Din Djarin doesn't have the kind of like quote unquote family background to really have as much impact to the Star Wars universe as Bo-Katan is going to end up having. So to me, it feels like a natural switch. The Mandalorian is not is a title of the show just because it happens to be about Mandalorians, not necessarily that it focuses on one. Even though like we've kind of half focused on one for 2 seasons.
Yeah. I know some people are just like, well, now we know who the Mandalorian refers to. I'm just like, I think the Mandalorian could apply to a bunch of different people in this situation. I'm hoping that I don't want to say this ends the Bo-Katan thing, but like the mini arc within this season, I think, belonged to Bo-Katan. So I think now that that's kind of resolved itself, we can get back to Din to close out this season type of thing, because we don't have a lot of episodes this season. We don't have a lot of episodes left. I think this is an 8-episode season, which I think is ridiculously short. But yeah, we'll get more into Star Wars stuff later. They're clearly setting up bigger things. So if this season is anything, it's a lot like, while I don't have issues with this season of Mando, I definitely think it's not as good as the first 2, but it is the Age of Ultron of Mandalorian. They're setting up a lot of things, and they're going to be setting up even more things for Ahsoka, which is both a good and a bad thing. It takes away from the personalization of Mando and Grogu, that father-son dynamic, but it also expands out the universe around them, which, you know, fans have been complaining that we haven't gotten in so long. So which is it there, fans? But besides Mando, Heather and I did a doubleheader on Saturday, because I was like, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the theaters. So if we don't do a doubleheader now, we're going to start falling behind. We still haven't seen D&D yet, but we saw Ben Affleck's Air and the Super Mario Brothers movie. We both really, really liked Air. I don't know if you necessarily need to rush out in theaters to see it. It's an Amazon movie, so it's going to be on Amazon eventually. It's a pretty good cliche dad sports movie in the vein of like a Moneyball or a Ford v Ferrari. The only issue that I have is, at least with Moneyball, the odds that our main character has to overcome feel much more insurmountable, and that feels like they might not actually succeed. Whereas Air, you never get the sense that they're not gonna sign Michael Jordan. Like there isn't as much. There's not a ton of tension. A lot of things go right for them, like in succession, and it's paced brilliantly. I kept thinking, wow, are we almost done here? Because we're just flying through this. Not in a bad way, not in a Mario way. We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but like it's paced really well, but there's no big hurdles. Like the boss has like one or two scenes where he's opposed to certain things, but then he hops on the other side real quick. It's a well-made, run-of-the-mill sports movie. Ben Affleck is a fantastic director. He continues to be. There's some great performances in it. Just a little cliche, but I think I could have used a little more adversity, but also they're trying to spice up a story that I don't know if necessarily has a ton of spice in it, so to speak.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the main event was the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I'm still pissed at myself because I'm sure some of you that watch this channel have already seen it, but I posted my review of the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I don't know what the hell went wrong, but something happened to my review, and the audio is ridiculously out of sync, like a couple seconds behind, and I didn't realize it until after I had uploaded and a decent amount of you had already watched this. I'm going, balls, can't just take it down now. It's like all out of whack, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to summarize my thoughts again here. It's not a perfect movie. As a kid's family movie, it is fine to really good. It's got a lot of problems that other kids' animated movies of lesser quality have to deal with in terms of like incredibly fast, rushed pacing of just action scene, get to the next scene, and not as many character moments as I think deserve to be there. So overall, some of the arcs and the more emotional beats don't quite land because we haven't spent enough time developing them. And also the uber annoying universal trend that is put every popular pop song in this movie at one point or another. Take On Me from Aha. Y'all like that song? How about we play that in Donkey Kong Country? I'm going, let's not. That sounds weird. Or like I Need a Hero. I'm going, that's a cool song and it fits better here than it did in Shazam, but it's not great. That's the soundtrack. The score, on the other hand, it's going to be the best score of the year. This music is so perfect. But as a Mario movie, you cannot change a single thing about this movie. It is a perfect Mario movie, and I love seeing that it's already the #1 movie on Amazon right now for the pre-orders, because about 5 minutes in, I'm just going, yeah, I'm going to need to get this on 4K because
that doesn't surprise me.
Colors are so pretty, so vibrant. It's just, it looks so gorgeous. Colors just pop off the screen. The soundtrack's phenomenal. There's so many Easter eggs in this, and sometimes literal eggs in this. It is so much fun. It's one of those just sit back and enjoy it type of movies. It's not the deepest, most complex, but at the same time, y'all, Mario has never been the deepest or most complex. In that sense, if you grew up playing Mario, you're going to have a good time. I think a lot of the critics that are bashing on this even have said in their interviews that they either aren't gamers or didn't grow up playing games, or, just are emotionally dead inside and don't have an inner child anymore. Because if you played Mario at all, even in the slightest, you will have a good time with this one. I promise.
Nice. Well, in a outside of the my brother had never seen Creed, and he was like, I really want to watch Creed, so we watched the first one.
You took him higher?
I did, absolutely, and I'm excited. I cannot wait to watch the second one again with him, because he has never I've watched a lot of movies with him, and I can tell when he's really into a movie, or really when he's like me, when the emotional beats hit, you can tell because I'm wearing my emotions on my face in that moment. Like, absolutely. He's also that way. So I'm really excited and really interested to see what he thinks of the second one, because he's also never seen a Rocky movie. So he's going into all of these like kind of just with the Creedverse idea, which is kind of like a unique vision that I hadn't thought of. That
it's
would
like
be
how
really cool.
we had a friend in college that their first Star Wars movie was The Force Awakens, and so they only get it from the sequel trilogy, which I'm going, ooh, that's an interesting perspective that you bring to the table here. Much less cynical. I love it.
Yes.
But has he seen Warrior yet? Just to clarify.
Yeah. He's seen Warrior. Yeah. He's fine. I was like, I told him, I was like, I don't think you understand the door that you have unlocked here, because we're gonna go rewatch Warrior. We're gonna go Southpaw. We're gonna go Real Steel. We're gonna go like, there's so many like.
Here comes the boom.
Here Comes the Boom is so good. It does not deserve to be as good as it is. And then in the response to watching Pixar Story, that documentary last week, I watched not one, not two, not three, four Disney Pixar movies this week. I've seen them all before, so it is, whatever. But watched Cars. Guys, I love Cars. It's still good. I understand it's memed into oblivion, but it's just fun. It's just such a fun movie. Finding Nemo, watched Finding Nemo again for the first time I've never seen it on my OLED TV, and I've never seen it in surround sound. By God, that movie is so good. Love it still to this day. Watched Incredibles as well. Gosh, like I always loved Incredibles, but again, seeing it in like 4K and in that like that heightened visual, and then having the surround sound, super cool. Very like really like fun atmosphere that I never thought I'd be a part of. And then in like the biggest part of irony, I think, yesterday I was doing some working on the list for today's discussion, and eating a plate of like 20 chicken nuggets that I made, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch Ratatouille.
Not surprised.
Yeah, no, it's such again, also fantastic film, very well paced. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I'm done with my Disney Pixar kick.
Yeah, I think I need a Pixar deep dive at some point. So bringing up the Pixar Story kid, did you ever end up watching Waking Sleeping Beauty?
I don't think so. Is that on Disney Plus?
That should be on Disney Plus. So what the difference between Waking Sleeping Beauty and the Pixar Story is, Waking Sleeping Beauty uses all footage that was actually shot by Disney animators around the time of the Disney Renaissance. So it's not like talking head interviews and whatnot, when they're just like, yeah, and then Jeffrey Katzenberger stormed into the office mad about some decision. It shows B-roll of him like loitering around the office, talking to people.
That's wild.
It's so well done. Basically, it talks about like from basically like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast era to the late 90s ish. So like the prime Disney Renaissance era of Jeffrey Katzenberg being in charge of everything, Frank Wells passing away, bringing in of Michael Eisner, how animation almost died basically. So the whole Waking Sleeping Beauty was, we need to revive the animation department, and it was really well done. I think that's one of my favorite documentaries ever. So if you like Pixar Story, I'd say check that out. Now,
awesome.
Getting into some news. Our first topic, Lucasfilm had Star Wars Celebration this weekend, and I didn't care. Like, it was better than some previous years, but at the same time, I feel like the franchise isn't in the best situation right now, and this Star Wars Celebration didn't do a whole lot to win people over. That being said, at least they had some stuff to talk about. They decided to announce 3 new movies, and I'm going, some of these are new things, but also the 3 movies that they announced feel like the safest options in the world, except for one I'm going, stop trying to make fetch a thing, stop trying to make fetch happen. So the 3 movies that were announced at Lucasfilm were, one directed by James Mangold. It was also clarified that weekend by James Gunn, a different James, that James Mangold is in fact writing and directing the upcoming Swamp Thing movie. So yes, we just don't know which one is coming out first. I'd imagine Swamp Thing over this because that got announced first, and I just feel like this is longer off. But James Mangold, not Gunn, Mangold, the director of Ford v Ferrari, Logan, The Wolverine, he's going to be directing the first Star Wars like prequel-ish story of the first person to ever experience the Force, set 25,000 years before Episode 4. And I just go, that is a good idea. That's the top idea here, because
yes,
we're not going to shoehorn in Yoda here. We're not going to shoehorn in other references. Potentially, there could only be one Jedi here. I would love that. Or, I don't know what Disney wants to make their new canon or whatever. In a perfect world, because there's always two. No more, no less. I would love it if there's two siblings. One discovers the Force super quick, and the other is bitter that they haven't found the Force. And that's the origin of the dark side, is an unnatural Force, a perversion of the Force.
Yeah.
Of an anger coming out of the Force. I'm going, I don't know if that's the route they'll go, but going, ooh, a very, very prequel here. That's probably a safe option here. The next will be, I don't know if they said a director for this. I don't think it's Dave Filoni doing.
I think it's Dave.
Is Dave Filoni directing this?
I'm almost certain it's Dave. I'd have to double check, but yeah.
Supposedly we're getting a movie that is the culmination of the quote-unquote Mandoverse, to which I shudder hearing that word. It just sounds gimmicky. But basically all the stories revolving around the Mandalorian will culminate into one big live-action movie. So Mando seasons 1 through whatever, Ahsoka. I feel like there's some other show that might tie into this. But, you know, as we'll talk about with Ahsoka, it is very, very evident who the threat will be. And I'm going, yes. But this just makes sense to me. It feels like things have been building bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just more surprised that it's going to be a theatrical release movie, just because it kind of, I don't want to say goes against the sequel trilogy, but it's like Disney almost going, yeah, we know what you actually wanted with the sequel trilogy, and we kind of dropped the ball, so take two, but with different characters because we aged out the other ones. And then lastly, here's the stop trying to make fetch happen. This is blatantly a Kathleen Kennedy pick here. We're getting a movie following Rey as she rebuilds the Jedi Order 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. Now, I've said this before. Daisy Ridley is a phenomenal actress. She's a great ambassador for the brand of Star Wars. She puts up with so much crap that fans throw at her that's undeserved. That being said, Rey is one of the single most uninteresting characters in all of Star Wars. I think every single sequel character is almost better than her. Kylo is the actual main character of the sequel trilogy because he's written more interesting, more complex. Finn, even though he got his knees cut out from under him, is a more interesting character. Poe is a more interesting character. Rey is unfortunately the product of checking things off a checklist we need to be able to sell toys. We need to market this. We need to show that we've evolved with the times instead of, focusing on creating a good character. Could this be a redemption for the Rey character? Who knows? Maybe. It's just like we've moved away from the sequel era, I feel like. Can we stop revisiting this? But it feels like this is very much a Kathleen Kennedy digging her heels in one last time before she's not there anymore. Just going, you will like Rey. Rey, only a select handful of our audience will get this, but I don't care. Rey is the Roman Reigns of the Star Wars universe. They keep shoehorning them in to places that they don't really fit in terms of fans will love this person. We need this person to be loved by the fans, even though they really should have turned into a bad guy years before they actually did. I've rambled enough, Josh. Of these three projects, how would you rank your excitement levels here?
I think it's definitely kind of the same way in which they announced them, with Mangold's first Jedi story, then the Mandalorian's culmination movie, and then Rey's 15 years later kind of film. Partly because, at least for me, I got, that season of Korra that has a large section of it that is all dedicated to the first Avatar. I get that vibes from this of like, oh, okay, cool. So we're going to see like how different the galaxy was back then. Like I think maybe that's something that I enjoyed about the Light of the Jedi book, is that it is set before, in this time before even the technologically advanced people that we see on Star Wars aren't as advanced, and like there's not even Bacta tanks and stuff like that. So it's like I'm very, very curious. Like, is this a world before space travel? Is this a galaxy before? Like, what does the galaxy look like before the Sith and Jedi Wars? Is this the movie that leads up to that event? I'm super excited about that. I think it is something that is not safe, but is fresh and interesting, and a timeline which I am very interested in. I think we haven't explored enough about. Culmination of the Mandalorian saga. I agree. It is feel a little gimmicky as far as when we get a culmination of the Mandoverse. Little annoying, but with that being said, it's really cool to actually probably get like a 2-hour movie as the culmination. To be fair, after Last of Us giving us an hour long episodes, getting 30-minute episodes kind of feels cheap. Kind of feels like I'm getting cheated a little bit, for better or for worse. But yeah, I'm excited that it's getting a film as the culmination. Tells me that it's going to be a really big deal. And then maybe I'm definitely not as bitter about the Rey stuff as you. I at the very least, at least they're going forward in time, so we can have some change, some stuff, maybe some stuff can be a little different. To me, this is another opportunity, and I'm choosing to be optimistic or positive here.
At least one of us has to.
Yeah, and partly because I think being negative here doesn't do anything. It doesn't help at all. I think this is a second opportunity, outside of the expectations of the sequel trilogy, to allow Rey to become her own character, to be her own person, and not be so attached to the names. This gives an opportunity to explore Poe a little bit more, maybe actually leaning into the hints that they gave in Force Awakens with Finn. I would be totally okay with that.
But see, here's the problem that I think we run into. I think Daisy Ridley's Rey is the only one coming back for this, just because, unfortunately, due to just the lack of direction for the trilogy, but also fan reaction, a lot of the actors in this, including Daisy Ridley, so I applaud her for being willing to come back, kind of got burned, especially John Boyega as Finn. I feel like he's been extremely vocal about how bitter he is at Disney, and I think he's completely justified. He's very much just like, I got the sense that I was supposed to be the first Black Jedi in, well, to which I'm just going, Mace Windu? But like main character wise, I get.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just take that away. I completely believe that is where JJ was going to take the character, and then, as we've said numerous times, Rian Johnson just goes, I like your script, proceeds to just toss it in the furnace. Like, I'm so curious what the direction of the trilogy was, if there was one, before Rian took over, because I think there was bigger plans for Finn. Initially, we know for a fact there was never bigger plans for Oscar Isaac's Poe. He was supposed to die at the beginning of Force Awakens. I'm glad they kept him around. Maybe give him more to do. But yeah, I don't see Oscar Isaac coming back either. He's a much hotter commodity now than he was at the beginning of Star Wars. I remember like looking him up going, okay, he was an inside Llewyn Davis, an Ex Machina. But Ex Machina, I think, was 2015 as well, I think. We're going, he's a bigger deal. John Boyega doesn't really want to come back for this. The original trilogy people are either dead in real life or dead in canon, so you can't bring them back, really. You'd be like, you can bring back Force Luke. I don't think Luke wants to be connected to this sequel trilogy any more than he has to be, because he's been in the business longer. He's better at being subtle with his jabs, but rest assured, Mark Hamill definitely has some sly jabs at
Oh yeah.
Last Jedi. A lot. I'm just going, maybe tone that down a little bit. But at the same time, I'm not the biggest fan of Rey. I do not fault Disney Ridley at all for that. I fault the lack of planning and script writing. On the flip side, I completely understand, respect, appreciate, and I think it's awesome the impact that Rey as a character has in the Star Wars community for good. There's a lot of young girls that look up to the Rey character. They love Rey as their favorite character in their franchise. I think that's vitally important. I think that's awesome, even though that character is not for me. I do not need every character to be for me. We'll talk about another character in another franchise here in a little bit that the characters, all the characters actually in that movie, do nothing for me. But it's one of those, I'm super happy if that is your thing because you can enjoy that thing. It's just not for me. And that's the case with Rey. I was super excited after Force Awakens. I think they set her up for a lot of interesting things. Just not, they didn't follow through with it, which is, you know, most of the characters. I'm excited to see some characters return in that big Mando crossover, but we could talk about that in the next story here. But any other thoughts on these movies specifically, Josh, or Star Wars Celebration in general?
No, not really. It is interesting that they came out and kind of said that Rian Johnson's trilogy is not in active development, which
we've known,
but it was one of those that like, okay, at least you're saying it now and not just like not saying anything. There's a lot. I think Star Wars Celebration this year was better than last year.
Oh, absolutely.
They at least had something to bring this year.
Now, can we say the same thing about D23 soon?
Yeesh.
Next up is more Star Wars stuff, but there's enough here to talk about that we think it's important to make it its own separate news topic than the first 3 movies that were announced at Star Wars Celebration. I don't know why, but I didn't expect this trailer from Celebration. I just wasn't expecting it. And that is, we got our first official trailer for the upcoming Ahsoka series, which, if I remember correctly, is dropping in like August? Is that what they said? I have been cautiously optimistic for Ahsoka. I'll be honest, before Mando, Ahsoka was a character that I knew of in the Clone Wars, but I didn't really have any form of emotional attachment to. Even now, they're fine, but I think it's more of that character resonates if you have watched the Clone Wars. If you have, I know Ahsoka is one of the most beloved characters of that fandom. Cool. I really like what they did with her in Mando. You could always tell a Dave Filoni episode, though, because boy, do the Clone Wars characters and Rebels characters get some shine. And I think Ahsoka is just going to be Rebels 2.0. But as a staunch defender and lover of the Rebels series, I cannot wait. This trailer was not so much an Ahsoka trailer. It was like, Ahsoka 50%, Rebels another 50%, because you get the live action debut of nepotism in Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera, which I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but boy do I think it's a little suspect that we just finished the Obi-Wan series last year, who she's, married to Ewan McGregor, and she just happens to get that role not too long afterwards, but still love you, Ewan, but not as big of a fan over the past couple of years. But that's a whole other thing. We saw Hera. We saw Sabine, who honestly, we'll wait till the show comes out. I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead might be miscast just by how the character looks. Sabine looks perfect. Sabine looks like Sabine, except a few years later. I missed it the first time I saw the trailer. We also got a quick, brief look at Ezra in the trailer. I completely missed that the first time, and then we watched him going, oh, that's Ezra in the hologram there, the projection. Yeah. He's going to be the MacGuffin in this season, and I am totally fine with that. We get characters from Rebels. We get shots from Rebels. We got the nice, like, tall watchtower from...
Dude, it was so cool to see Lothal. Oh, my gosh.
We also got a Loth Cat. I'm sure we're going to get that mural from the end of the show, from the finale.
I hope so.
Also, I love that this trailer sparked a whole internet debate, not of the quality, but it's like the yellow dress / blue dress of, is this lightsaber red or is it orange? I'm going,
Yes.
honestly, either side you have valid points, because if it is orange, it could be a little, it's blood orange. We'll go with that.
It really is. And then hearing Dave Filoni get asked about it, and he actually explained some little bits about it, is very, very interesting. Yeah, first things first, it's Rebels 2.0. Like, I'm here for it. Absolutely. Ahsoka is clearly taking the spot of Kanan, and I have no issues with that.
Except she can see,
yes,
and she's alive.
I will miss Kanan. Absolutely. To have the opportunity for maybe a flashback with Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan
do not tempt me with that,
dude. It is within the realm.
His voice was in Rise of Skywalker, so he's game to come back.
Exactly. I would be so down for that. Are you kidding? Even like Hera having like a memory or something, having a flashback of a memory moment. Oh, dude. I would, so cool. Seeing Chopper was fun. I'm excited to see where we're going. It is very clear how that Thrawn is going to be the big bad.
Played by Lars Mikkelsen.
Yes.
They confirmed that after the trailer.
Dude, which is like, well, crap. All right. Well, if you weren't on board now, you, I don't know. Yeah. The big question I think we're going to have is how did he get away from Ezra? Because he was trapped. Ezra trapped him. Like, that is not like, it is. So we'll see what happens. But I'm very, 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 very excited. Ahsoka gets better and better the more we see her. The guys with the orange lightsabers, I'm super stoked for. I love how different how they handle lightsabers looks. It is very clearly I want to say like methodical. It's very like boom boom, like angle. Okay, cool. Not like I'm gonna sweep this around. Like, it's very clearly that they are not Jedi, but it's also very clear that they are not Sith. And I will say that out loud even before Dave Filoni had his little interview about them. It basically saying like, I don't know, have you seen the interview?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, where he's like, yeah, I'm glad you saw that. Yes, that is absolutely like a darker orange. It is kind of a head nod towards Darth Vader's first lightsaber, but at the same time, that should be your first kind of indication that maybe these people are not who that color would suggest that they are, or maybe they are, but not all the way. And we're like, okay, cool. That makes me super stoked. Are we going to get some gray Jedi stuff dabbling more? Because I mean, it is Ahsoka, so it is very, very possible that we're going to lean heavily into the gray Jedi stuff. But yeah, I could talk about this trailer like all day. I am so stoked for Ahsoka. Showed it to my dad, and he was like, I hate it. And I was like, why? He was like, because I have to wait till August. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta show my dad because he's the one that's like has seen all of Clone Wars, even though I haven't. He's seen all. I think he's seen all of Bad Batch. He's seen Rebels. Like he anything Star Wars, he like will watch almost anything. So he's up to date with this, which I'm sure he's super excited for it. A detail that I missed it the first time I saw this trailer, and I'm not seeing nearly enough people talk about it because it's a Rebels detail, and not nearly enough people watch Rebels.
Correct.
When Ahsoka is confronting the guy with the blood orange lightsaber, they are clearly in the world between worlds, and I'm going, that is some deep cut stuff right there. That could also have huge ramifications. Guys, the world between worlds is this interesting concept that they introduced. I think it was first introduced in Rebels. At least that's where I first came in contact with it.
From what I understand, yeah, because the first time we ever saw it was when Ezra went there.
Yes, and it's basically a space beyond time and space. You can go to any time or space, basically. It's a gateway. It's like a train station almost to any spot within the living force.
As long as you're a force user. You can't you can't just walk in.
Which has, major ramifications if that's being introduced into the live action sphere or to the general populace's conscious. I'm going, oh, Dave Filoni, you getting uber sweaty and me liking it.
No, yeah, absolutely. It'll be really interesting to see the quote unquote fans that have not seen Rebels, when that gets introduced to them, and they're going to be like, "Well, you're just pulling this out of nowhere. What is this?
Really,
Oh, come
time
on.
travel in Star Wars?
Time travel with the Force? They were just making up abilities now." Like, I can totally see that happening.
Well, did you know that Lucasfilm doesn't just make Star Wars stuff? I know there's that rumor floating around that they're just like, scrap any Lucasfilm thing that's not Star Wars. We need to get Star Wars back on track, which is why they canceled the Indiana Jones TV show, allegedly. I don't know if I believe that or not. Just I have reason to doubt that. But at Star Wars Celebration, they dropped the second full trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny because, it's also a Lucasfilm property, which is also being produced by Kathleen Kennedy, which also, means people already have decided that they hate this movie before it even comes out. I'll be honest. I like but don't love this trailer because I think the first trailer did a better job of getting me more excited. This trailer, though, gives me a better idea of what the story is. So essentially what a second trailer should do. That first one should hook you. The second one should tell you the story. So in that sense, I think this one doesn't give away too much, but it gives a little more clarity than that first trailer did of clearly... Here's where I'm going with this. How I interpret it, and I think it might be a good direction to go. The Dial of Destiny controls time itself, so to speak. And I think Indy's coming to grips as an older man, potentially 1 foot in the grave. He's literally running out of time. But I get the sense that he's okay with it. But, you get a Nazi who wants to go back and change things, which is where we're seeing so much in the trailers, young Indiana Jones as well as old Indiana Jones. I think we're going to get a lot more flashbacks than people think, but it's going to run congruently of Indy with his goddaughter going, the first time this happened, this, and this happened. We can't let those events happen again. We were able to beat the Nazis the first time and we keep the dial away from them. We need to make sure that doesn't happen again. It's kind of a clever way to get around Harrison Ford being old as dirt. But I think having an actual time device, not time travel itself, but a time device could be a really interesting storytelling device for an aging character. James Mangold does old farts really, really well. Logan, to a certain extent, Ford v Ferrari is also about coming to grips with things that you're out of your control. James Mangold is just a really good, competent director. I fully have faith in him and in this movie, just because I'm not one of those people that decides to hate on a movie before it's even come out, or because there's a woman in it, I know how this movie's going to end because I seem to have preconceived notions about what this movie's going to be. I really am frustrated with Lucasfilm, quote-unquote, fans these days.
Yeah, I agree.
But as more of the casual Indiana Jones fan of the two of us, Josh, what did you think of this trailer? You like this or the first one better?
I definitely think I like the first one better. However, I think the CGI in this one is definitely more polished.
Oh yeah. Still a little wonky at times, but polished.
A little bit, but definitely more polished. I'm going to watch this movie. It's going to happen. I really like the idea of an old man who thinks that he is okay with dying because he's, towards the end, he thinks he's okay with that until he's given an opportunity to change past mistakes. That is very interesting to me because that's always a conversation of well, when I get older, I look back, I don't want to have any regrets. And I can see Indy being the kind of person to be like, yeah, man, in my life, a lot of stuff happened. I don't have any regrets. And then his goddaughter pops up and goes, yeah, okay, cool. So, but what if you could change some of those things? And she instantly, to me, Indy seems like the kind of person to me that'd be like, well, now I'm given that opportunity. So now I'm going to try to take that as opportunity to change some of my mistakes. Super down. I love everybody that's in it. I like that they were very clear that she's his goddaughter and it's not a familiar relationship, basically. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. It also tells me that she's not going to, quote unquote, be the next Indy. Which I'm
Mangold
totally
has
okay
said
with
repeatedly. He's like, y'all jumping the gun here.
But Lucasfilm fans are just won't let it go because they're terrible.
Not
Much
everything is a woke agenda against you guys.
Mutt could have been really good, could have had a lot of fun, but no, we had to hate on him.
But
Yeah.
also, as much as Spielberg's one of the greatest of all time, Spielberg did in fact direct Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So for some reason we want to be mad at that, but we let that director get a pass. It's just like, no, he deserves some blame for that movie. Let's not pretend he wasn't directly responsible for that movie. Him and George Lucas both, but I mean that's less of a shock here. I don't know if they'll bring it up or not, because Harrison Ford was there when Dirt was created. I think it would be really, really cool if, canonically, I don't know if this would be the case or not, but we could have some great scene where he's talking to Sala from Raiders of the Lost Ark, or talking to his goddaughter, one of the two, about him getting older. Just be like, I'm older now than my dad ever was. Like, those type of conversations of just like,
dude,
he is older now than Sean Connery was in Last Crusade by like a decade, basically, at least. So I think that could be interesting, of literally openly acknowledging, I can't do this anymore. I'm too old, which I know some people are just like, I don't want that for Indy. I'm going, I'm sorry, your fictional hero, got old. It happens to every character. That's kind of why I love the Rocky franchise, because Stallone allowed that character to grow old. Growing old can be a beautiful character thing, or just a beautiful part of life. Tragic, but beautiful at the same time. And I'm looking forward to seeing that, actually, as opposed to kind of dipping your toes into the Indiana Jones's old thing in Kingdom of Crystal Skull, making a couple jokes, but other than that, just he's got slightly more gray hairs. I'm more optimistic about this movie than others. That being said, I do have some reservations. I think if we do get some flashback scenes, we might be relying on it too much, and the CGI might not fully be there. And I do worry, if this is a success, people going, well, studio execs mainly going, well, we got away with a lot of deep fakes and CG here. We could probably do more young Indiana Jones just with a deep fake.
I would hate that so much.
But that is a genuine concern that I have. As much as I love the cameo in Mando, and I liked Luke in Book of Boba Fett for that one episode, I do get a bad feeling that might be a trend of just like, hey, we like to exploit your nostalgia. This actor's not what they used to be because time, but now we figured out how to beat time, or bring that into the story here. And at the end of the day, you can't beat time. You can try and fake it, you can try and fix it, but you can't outrun it. You can't beat time. I think that could be interesting, but I don't know if they'll go that route or not.
Yeah, I don't know, because I too really like the idea of him being like, yeah, I'm older than my dad ever was. Like I can totally see Indy being like, as the person that does what I do, I didn't think I would make it this far. Like I didn't think I'd make it to this age. So like, yeah, having that like kind of almost old man existential crisis is so fascinating to me for a character. So I'm excited to see where we go with it. Yeah, casual indie fan, but definitely still in it for it, and to gonna watch the movie.
Now, next up is the trailer that I mentioned earlier of there is going to be a fan base for this, and I think that is super, super awesome. If you're in that fan base, I'm super happy for you. This is just not for me, but let's talk about it nonetheless, because it seems to be the big trailer that we got this week from the Marvel camp, and that is The Marvels dropping their first trailer. And it's hard not to go into this trailer with a bias, just because everyone has their own preconceived notions going into it. I did not like Captain Marvel. I think it's one of the weakest MCU movies. I also think Brie Larson was really miscast, just because her portrayal of the character kind of goes against the script that they're trying to portray, of just like, keep your emotions in check, don't do this, that, or the other thing. But she doesn't really emote in the movie, and also just she comes across kind of cold and jaded, which if the character was written that way, okay, cool. But she comes across not very likable, despite the fact that it's written to be a likable character. And also, she has too much similarities with Iron Man, of just, I'm not the biggest fan of cocky characters. And it's not just the obvious thing with Brie Larson. It's, I didn't like Iron Man 2. I've stood on my hill, and I will die on the hill. I will die on this horse that I can't stand Iron Man as a character, but I get that I'm not supposed to like him. I think, whatever. Getting back to this trailer, though. This sounds mean, but it's one of those times that's just going, oh, cool. It's a Marvel movie I can skip. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. It's just like, at times, with all the shows, with all the movies, it just feels a little overwhelming of like, can I take a break? And I feel like, it sounds mean, but I feel like this is the break movie. I don't see anything big or significant happening in this movie. I'm just probably going to skip this one, guys. I feel bad, but at the same time, I don't, because you're only as good as your last movie in your franchise, and I think a big part of the reason why this movie's called The Marvels is because they know the backlash that they got for the last one with Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. It's why I think it was very intentional that of the 3 main characters in this movie, she gets the least amount of screen time in this trailer. They show her the least. Granted, her character seems to be acting different just by the trailer alone, but I have other thoughts, but I'll hand it over to Josh. I'm just... in the state of Marvel right now, I'm just burnt out, and I think this is the one where I sit on the bench for a little bit. Don't worry, I'm used to that. I'm used to sitting on the bench, but for this, I'll wait till Disney Plus, I think, like I did with Eternals.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be in the same boat. I was not necessarily that interested in this in this movie. I have never been that big of a Brie Larson Marvel fan. Really any of a fan of any of these, and of course, because of how it works with Disney, this is going to feel like the one everyone can skip, but much like Miss Marvel, this will be the one that no one can skip.
Yep, Miss Marvel introduced not X-Men, but mutants essentially.
And it was like...
We'll talk about her show in a little bit here.
It's cool, I guess. I don't necessarily understand how their power... I understand how Captain Marvel and... Oh, geez, what's her name?
Monica?
How their powers are connected. That makes sense to me. But I'm not... It's... Especially if Miss Marvel is a mutant, how can her powers be connected? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I am not particularly excited. It doesn't really make sense, again, why Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury is out in space. They don't explain it, but he's just there.
Wasn't he just back on Earth for Secret Invasion?
Like, what is happening? I'm so confused, and I'm really not. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not, and again, I wish I was.
Like Rey with Star Wars, there's a large group of young women growing up with this character that now have a hero to look up to and idolize. I think that's super cool. I know there's a bunch of girls that look up to Brie Larson's Captain Marvel or Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That is super cool. And I'm super happy that you guys can experience these comic book characters. Welcome to a potentially toxic world of comic book fandom, but I, for one, welcome more people into the fandom. I don't ever want to kick people out because they like something that I don't like. So if you are excited for this movie, that is awesome. I'm super excited for you. I just have never been excited for this. And I'm very interested to see the box office for this movie for a variety of reasons. One, MCU box office has not been as strong. We saw Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania essentially just crater. Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness had a huge opening weekend and then kind of leveled off. It still made a very good profit. The first Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. But I attribute a lot of that to it was the movie right before Endgame, and they marketed the movie as you must see this movie before Endgame, whereas I don't think it was required viewing. It gives you some backstory on Carol, but Carol ultimately didn't factor into Endgame a ton. Like, once they actually go on the time heist, she just disappears for a while. She's not very relevant because they realize she might be too powerful because she can gotta fix everything by herself. I don't know if it'll still have the same box office success. It's been 4 years since that first one. I think fan sentiment was never positive to begin with, at least from the toxic side of fandom, and I think that's only grown over time. It's kind of come in waves. But here's an interesting point that I don't see people talking about that I think absolutely could affect this movie's box office. This features 3 people in the title role. Like, we're going to split time evenly between Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Monica Rambeau's characters, I believe. 2 out of the 3 of those characters have never been seen in a movie before and were introduced in a Disney Plus show. Now, I know a lot of people liked Miss Marvel, but it had historically low viewership numbers. So I think you're going to run into the problem of Marvel might have expected Miss Marvel to do a lot better streaming-wise than it did because she's such an integral part of this movie and no one saw her show. Now, more people might be familiar with Monica because she was on WandaVision, but WandaVision was quite a few years ago now at this point, too. So people are familiar with Captain Marvel because we've seen her in her own movie. We saw her in Endgame. You're now introducing 2 other characters that have this big, rich backstory, but a lot of people that don't have Disney Plus might be lost. So we're going to run into the issue that we've been having with like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Loki, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, of like other things are required viewing. And I think that might ultimately hurt the box office here because I heard wonderful things about Miss Marvel. Heather watched a couple episodes. She said it was fine. I didn't watch it just because I didn't figure that I was the target demographic, kind of like CW's Supergirl. Like, not for me, but the people that it is made for, I hope you enjoy it. I really, really do. I think the same thing with Miss Marvel. I also don't see how this factors into the larger picture here, because the larger MCU picture just seems like it's going every which way without a clear direction, and that's just annoying.
Which is exactly why this is going to be the one that defines the direction that it's going.
Of course.
I never really had much desire to watch the show. Maybe I'll go check it out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of concerned because I don't want, no matter what happens, I don't want this movie to bomb and then Marvel look at that and go, okay, cool. So we're just not going to do diverse characters then. Because I can totally see like the studio being like, well, that's the reason it failed. And I was like,
they definitely would have if Perlmutter was still here.
Yes. So we'll see what happens. Technically, this is just a teaser, so I guess we're waiting for the first full trailer. I guess we'll find out what happens.
Lastly, for news this week, Stranger Things. Netflix is going to milk that for every penny it's worth, as they should, because Stranger Things is great. They announced that they are working on an animated series of Stranger Things. They didn't say whether it was like a spin-off of a particular character, but they're working on an animated series from the creator of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, mark that off of Josh and I's bingo card. You get Stranger Things, you get an animated project, and someone that used to work on a Ninja Turtles show. Thank you. Now, here's where I consult the expert. Josh, was Rise of the Ninja Turtles the more recent Nickelodeon one?
Yes.
Was it like the more 2D animated one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was.
I have not seen it.
They ended up doing a movie that was heavily anime inspired, so obviously I loved that.
Okay, you take lead here. You take lead here.
So, like, I don't know if you want me to, because
go for it!
No,
this has been a bitter episode anyway.
I'm excited that the creative Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gets more, opportunity to do stuff. He created a fantastic show. It is very well animated, very well acted, great story arcs. Brought some new stuff to the TMNT world, and I really liked that. And I love Stranger Things, but I don't need an animated show. Like, if we're ending, next season, if we're ending the storyline next season, what stories are there left to tell here? Like, you're going to make up characters that are in backgrounds of certain episodes, and we're going to go with that? Or we're going to have a full 3-episode arc of Dustin's summer camp? Like, it just doesn't do anything for me, especially knowing that Netflix has rights to like so many other shows that they could make.
Said the bitter Narnia fan.
I mean, yeah, Narnia, Magic Tree House, Redwall, like just those 3 alone, like to me, I don't need more Stranger Things. We don't need it. So do something else. But but I'm excited for the creators of of Rise of the TMNT. He does a great job. Good for him. I'm sure the show is going to be fantastic because he's involved. I just don't need it.
I'm probably a little more optimistic than Josh. That's just been the ebb and flow in this episode.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Well, we're kind of negative about some things, but one of us has to be the sanity bag here. One of us has to be the positive one.
You get the brain cells.
I'll be the little more positive here. We've known they're gonna spin off Stranger Things forever now. And you know why they're gonna spin stuff off instead of just continuing on the path and continuing the show? Because continuing the show with your current cast means you gotta pay them more. And Netflix don't believe in paying their actors more. That's why they don't renew shows.
Correct.
But voice actors, and this makes me very sad to say, but it's unfortunately the reality of the business. If you do an animated show, you could pay your talent a whole lot less. And I'm going,
yeah.
Oh, that frustrates me to no end because animated voice actors deserve just as much pay as live action actors just because they work just as much, if not more. And more is required of them. But get off that soapbox. I feel like this is completely separate from the other 2 spinoffs that they've already announced. Or maybe they're just announcing that one of the spinoffs isn't live action. It is, in fact, an animated one. I don't know what to make of it. I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities we could go here. Maybe a portal to the Upside Down was opened somewhere else. What would be cool? But again, so much of this is dependent on season 5 of Stranger Things because there's so many theories out there of what the Upside Down is, how all of the Upside Down was created. Because my initial thought was it would be cool if someone went to the Upside Down back in like the early 1900s or the 1800s, if the Upside Down even existed then, and then when one went, like he just discovered it. Like, but I don't know if one helped create the Upside Down or
there's a lot of
about the mind flow. Like, I feel like the whole Upside Down part of it is going to be a closed circle by the end of season 5, from what the Duffer Brothers have said. I feel like that narrative is going to be plugged up. Maybe there's other weird stuff that happens with that lab. Like, that's just one weird X-Files type of thing that went down. Or just do what we all want. A Rick and Morty style comedy with Dustin and Steve, please. Just Dustin being the responsible adult and Steve being the idiot that forgets to bring batteries.
Dude, give me a Jump Street style comedy with Dustin and oh geez, I just lost it.
Robin.
Steve, yeah, wow, geez. Yeah, Dustin and Steve, give me like a 22 Jump Street style comedy with that. Down, absolutely down. Dude, make that, you could do that live action. I'd eat that up. Are you kidding me? Anyway, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I don't know if we need spinoffs. I kind of wish. I understand why. I get it. Don't look at me and say, "Oh, Josh, you're stupid for these expectations." Yes, they make a ton of money. However, I really miss the days when shows. Well, I guess I can't miss the days when this is never the case. I just wish that companies would just make a show and it was good, and then they leave it be. Oh, I guess Gravity Falls is a great example of that. Like, they made the show. It's like 2 seasons. It's great.
Psych.
And
they never did spinoffs for Psych.
Psych is a good example.
I think they ended it too soon.
Yeah, fair. Scrubs is a good example. Like, well,
no, Scrubs is a bad example.
Yeah, you can't really because the whatever season. Yeah, you can't do that. Anyway, I just wish that companies would just make the thing and then move on. And I guess Netflix, if anything, is good at that, but in the wrong way.
As per usual, this week's episode is sponsored by TeePublic, your one-stop shop for all things Uncharted Media merch. T-shirts, mugs, hoodies, whatever you want with the Uncharted Media logo on it. Go there and support the show. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and if you haven't already subscribed to us on YouTube, help us get to 1,000 subscribers. That's our big goal. Now, for our video game fans out there, we have been blessed with a plethora of adaptations to varying degrees of quality over the past couple of years. I will say this. The quality of video game adaptations has improved vastly over the last 3 to 4 years, because I remember the very first podcast discussion we ever had on this podcast was, can video game adaptations ever be good? But that was before both Sonic movies, before the Super Mario Brothers movie, before... I know diehard fans hate it, but the general audiences really liked Uncharted. It's because they haven't played the games. The Last of Us is a perfect adaptation. We've gotten better adaptations, and more on the way. We're getting a Borderlands movie at some point, which Josh, you and I would need to hop on Borderlands again at some point.
Yes.
Borderlands is in development. Borderlands is done. It's just a matter of when is it coming out.
It's being edited right now. Yeah.
God of War is somewhere. It's coming out. But the ones that we wanted to focus on today are ones that maybe were in development at one point, but have gone completely radio silent, of video games that deserve to be either movies or TV shows. And no, I'm not putting Legend of Zelda on here because everyone and their mother has talked about turning Legend of Zelda into something. But on the day that we're recording this, a big old chunk of land at Universal Studios Florida has been announced to be closing at the beginning of May, and that plot of land has always been potentially rumored to be a Legend of Zelda area. So, not saying Legend of Zelda, but Legend of Zelda across the street from an upcoming Nintendo world. What an interesting idea.
Yeah. Like Legend of Zelda, like you said, has always been one of those that's always been rumored. I mean, we had those AI casting pictures floating around for a long time of Tom Holland as Link, and like that was cool, I guess. But
that's just because everyone will cast Tom Holland for everything.
Also true. Also had the resurgence of people being like, oh, they made Zelda a girl. Oh, what's wrong with this country? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, guys, Zelda's always been a girl. Have you not played the game? What's wrong with you? You dummies. But yeah, there are a lot of, I stopped myself at 15. I said, I could have kept going.
I have 9.
Kept going.
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
So, Josh, kick us off.
Okay. I think this first one's kind of gonna be a super throwback. It is during the days of Super Nintendo. I actually had this game in college and played quite a bit of it. Because for whatever reason in college, I decided to get a Super Nintendo, and that was my console of choice for whatever reason in college. But probably because it's way cheaper to get that than any of the new PlayStation or Xboxes.
I don't know, man. Some of those games when we were in college, those retro systems were way too expensive.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I got the system for like $75, and then I sweet talked the guy into throwing in Castlevania 4, so that was fun. And notice that Castlevania will not be on this list either, because there's a fantastic anime on Netflix.
Yeah, I was about to say, Castlevania's already been adapted.
Yes, multiple times. That being said, my throwback from the Super Nintendo era, I think that I would love is this little game called Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I would love like this like weird, because the game is insane. I would just love this like Deadpool level crazy fourth wall breaking movie of this character with 3D paper 3D glasses on, running around trying to survive. There's just so much fun. I think there's so many fun characters that he can fight that it was just I just can't see it not going well.
That game does not sound familiar to me. That I don't know if I recall that game. What was that on Super Nintendo, right? SNES?
Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
SNES. What's funny is I know that I've played it with you.
When?
Because it's a 2-player game. You play as either the guy or the girl, and they both have wacky like 3D glasses on for some reason. But yeah,
when have we ever played any game that wasn't Super Smash, Mario Kart, or WWE?
fair. That is very fair.
I do not recall this.
It was we've slept since then, so it's fine. I'm not heard about it, but yeah, it's a fun like little like weird game, and I want
no. When did we play this?
I couldn't tell you exactly when, but like because I
Who
got
all
it.
played with us? I do not recall. I remember Smash tournaments.
Fair.
I'm genuinely concerned that I'm joshing here
system.
and I'm just missing big
You
chunks
are.
of my memory. Have I been
I
concussed?
got it sophomore year, so we would have been on the same floor at that time, right?
No, I was in
'Cause I
the
was
apartments. I thought.
Sophomore year.
No, sophomore year. No, you were never on my floor.
We were
You
in the same
third
building,
floor,
at
right?
least.
You were third floor.
No. Sophomore, we were both in Hills.
Yeah, I thought you were on third floor hills.
Nah, dude. I was on first floor.
Oh yeah, you were on the other side of the building, on the other half of the bathroom, because it was just me and Michael on one side, literally everyone else on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
And the weirdest bathrooms ever.
Very
College
agreed.
bathrooms.
Anyway, Zombie Ate My Neighbors. That's my first entry. That's what we're going with. Do you want me to hit another one since I have significantly more than you today, which is definitely a change of pace, my friends.
Josh has no life. But then again, neither do I.
Okay.
Also, like growing up as an only child, I did a lot of just like party games, and a lot of the games that I grew up playing, I know for a fact would not translate well to movies.
Like
I was trying to think of narrative-based games, and I'm just like, Mario Party and Mario Kart, I don't think would translate well, or like MLB 2K8, I don't think would translate to the big screen. That's just called I still had faith in my Rockies.
That's fair. So picture
Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, the movie.
Yeah,
with
American Wasteland, the
soundtrack.
So this one is kind of going to be a little bit of a reach, but I think this could be a lot of fun. So you know how we had Real Steel with robots and it was cool. It is basically Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but it's a lot of fun, right? Movie with a surprising amount of heart. The CGI and all that was like incredible. It gave us something new and kind of high level, something that we could do in that vein, in the Real Steel vein of futuristic nonsensical sports, is Rocket League. Having a Rocket League movie and watching like cars with jetpacks on them fly through the air on screen would be so stinking cool, and it'd be like Pacific Rim, but like fun too.
So what you're saying is you want a movie called Speed Racer, directed by the Wachowskis.
Hey! Don't no one like Speed Racer is actually a great movie, and I don't care who said
but it's just Rocket League.
I mean, it is, but that's not the point. Having like a Real Steel, like Shaolin Soccer-esque movie with like Rocket League would be so fun, like in nonsense. I would love every second of it. Are you kidding me?
And then you get Tom Cruise to be in it, so they actually blow up the cars. You blow up the cars. As long as the explosions are real explosions.
Exact, dude.
Mix it with a little bit of Destruction All-Stars, the shallowest PlayStation game of all time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Destruction All-Stars. But
no,
there's not enough content for that game.
I've got it. It'd be like, just throw Jason Statham in it, and it's the next evolution of Death Race. Is Rocket League.
As long as we don't do Aaron Paul and do Need for Speed. Yeah, we all forgot about that movie.
Poor guy. He got dragged into that. That's not fair.
Yeah, drag racing.
Anyway, so let me bring another one that I'm pretty sure you will not. There was a game that came out, I want to say 2021, about a little cat. They need to make Stray into a movie. Are you kidding me? That because you could totally make that, like, still keep it in the vein of what it is, and kind of make it a adventure horror. Like that to me translates very well to on screen. Obviously, you'd have to do a whole lot of streamlining, but the world is so interesting, the lore is so interesting, and just having your main character not speak has always been very, very a concept that's very interesting to me. I think Stray could be a lot of fun. Plus, it's a cute little cat. Like, you telling me like Heather would not go see that film? Are you kidding me?
She hates cats. That's why I married her. I hate cats, man. Especially Taylor Swift and Judi Dench. But also with Stray, if I remember correctly, as someone that has not played it, but isn't Stray one of those like, yes, you play as a cat, but there's a whole lot more lore and story that the marketing did not show, that everyone was just kind of like, oh,
yes,
there's narrative here. So I can absolutely see that. It's not on my list, but in the same vein as Stray, I'll put an honorable mention here, or it could be an actual one to make it 10 on my list. This would have to be an animated movie, but it has such a very specific artistic style that I would almost require Guillermo del Toro to be the one that does it. You'll understand when I say it. Limbo.
Yes, I almost put Limbo or Inside on this list because they're so interesting, like narrative, or like Little Nightmares. Oh, like one of those three would be so cool to see on screen. I mean, we've done a Cuphead show. I don't see why we couldn't translate.
It's amazing to me that we got a Cuphead show actually,
and then it's actually really good. Like, oh, it's so cool.
So for those that don't know, Limbo is one of the most basic stories you can have for a game of just a dude is in this like black and gray somewhere, and you're on a side scroller, so you're basically going from left to right the entire time, and it's both wonderful and frustrating at the same time. It never holds your hand or tells you what to do, so you literally just drop in. So you're just like, okay, this button does this button does this, and you're trying to essentially escape, and it's incredibly morbid, while never outright being violent. Like, it's a very much you teach yourself things.
I looked there's that spider legs that like stab straight through your head when you like mistime stuff.
But see, it is still silhouetted. It could get away with a PG-13.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. No, Limbo would be great.
That's fine.
It is, aptly named Limbo because you are trying to escape limbo to either up or down. Anyway, I kind of want to stick on this. I like this horror train that you're riding.
That's where I was going to stick too.
Okay. So there was this game that my boys Jacksepticeye and Marky Mark played over the pandemic that I have become somewhat obsessed with, and I really, really like. I like the idea of it. I don't know if it translates to a full hour and a half movie. I can see it being like a short movie or something like that maybe HBO Max would do. There's this game called Iron Lung. It basically takes place of you are a convict who is forced to be in this Iron Lung style submarine that does not have a viewfinder, and you have to use a camera on the outside of the submarine to explore the blood ocean that you're in.
Blood ocean. Wow, I like that phrase.
Yes, it is. And it's on like an extraterrestrial world. There's like some weird psycho religion involved. And like, it is genuinely a very terrifying, very basic game. But I like the idea and I like the world. And I feel like, almost like a Werewolf at Night kind of vibe that like a 30, 45 minute short would work perfectly. That would just be so good.
You just throw Werewolf by Night out there at me, and I'll just be like, drop everything. I'm on board. Son of a gun, I'm in. Because Werewolf by Night was perfection, and as much as I bag on Marvel Phase 4, I would like to shake Kevin Feige's hand and say thank you for making something specifically for me and no one else. Everyone else can go suck it or get my taste, because Werewolf by Night was made for me, and I loved it so much. I need more of that, please. Sticking with the horror train, it's not really spoilers because you can kind of see it in the trailer. Um, but this is something that was mildly set up, not really set up, just because it doesn't really go anywhere in the movie itself. But
Mhm.
in the Super Mario Brothers movie, they set up a lot of different fun avenues that the movie could potentially go. Naturally, you have what was teased in the post-credit scene, to which I squealed like a little girl because the thing that sets up was a game that I have probably some of the most hours of my entire life sunk into, that I cannot wait for this thing to happen. And Heather is also very excited. But some other things that were just kind of naturally set up. One in particular, I'm going, I want this more than anything else, is a Luigi's Mansion movie.
Yeah,
I
that
have
works so well.
I have advocated for a lot of years, ever since I really got into horror. I've advocated that yes, we need our good creepy stuff. We need The Conjuring, we need Sinister, we need Happy Death Day, Halloween, but we need Monster House. We need a house with a clock in its walls. We need Monster Squad. We need the next generation of horror movies for kids. And I think Luigi's Mansion could absolutely be that. We need some mildly scary things, Goosebumps, to get kids interested in the creepy. That way, when they're older, they're already predisposed to liking it. Or, you just grow up watching horror movies without your parents' knowledge and you just remember the return button on the TV remote.
Yep.
As I call out half our audience with that, I'm pretty sure. No, we never did that whatsoever.
Nah, yeah.
But Luigi's Mansion, I think, could strike that perfect balance because while it's not out and out creepy, there's a couple moments in the Super Mario Brothers movie where you get like the dry bones of the Shy Guys inside of a building. I'm going, oh, I just need a full hour and a half of this, please. Of have Mario get kidnapped and Luigi, who wants no part of this, has to go in there with just a flashlight and that's it. He has to take out some Boo, or some like really honestly creepy looking Shy Guys. Luigi's Mansion is such a clever idea and there's so much fun to be had with it. And I know some people were complaining about the Super Mario Brothers movie that why is Luigi the one that's held in captivity, not Princess Peach? Or why don't we get a lot of scenes of Mario and Luigi? Guys, is this your first Mario game? Because if you are complaining about Luigi getting sidelined there, welcome to Nintendo. Luigi
yeah, that's what happens all the time. Like,
Luigi has never gotten his fair shake. Not as much as like Wario or Waluigi, who definitely need more love.
Waluigi has never gotten anything. Like he is just a character in other people's games. He has never ever.
At least
gotten
Wario had a Game Boy game, which was Boss, by the way.
Almost every Wario game is a lot of fun and super weird. Yeah, I feel like Luigi's Mansion is almost like a given. I feel like that like almost writes itself. I feel like it's right there. You literally teased it in all of Super Mario. So like, come on.
Also,
just give it to us.
This would never happen. But Josh, after the first sentence, we'll know where I'm going with this. Illumination made not Super Smash Brothers. That would be amazing. Illumination made the Super Mario Brothers movie. Illumination is owned by Universal. If Universal did Luigi's Mansion for Halloween Horror Nights, oh my dear God, shut up and take all of my money. I don't care.
I would literally quit my job to be there. Are you kidding me? Like I'd be like, hi, yes, can I have this time off? They're like, no, sorry. I'm like, cool. Well, then like replace me, I guess. Like, cause I'm gone. I'm going. This isn't asking for permission. This is me letting you know that I'm gone.
Like, I don't think they'd ever do it just because of the confusing branding that would be just like, here's Blood Massacre Part 4, where you just literally get like fake blood thrown at you. Over here's Luigi's Mansion. Like, I don't. It might be cross.
Like, I also love that. I love that idea. Even like taking Luigi's Mansion and kind of going a little like to the level that Halloween Horror Nights is with it a little bit. It could be a lot of fun. Like, gosh, okay, don't get me started because that could be a lot of fun. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I've just got our hopes up for something that'll never happen.
That'll never happen. Yeah, absolutely. My last real horror, well, like not really last, but I think true horror, a game that I know you are very, very familiar with that is consistently still terrifying, And we kind of already have a movie of this, but I would love something that focuses on the lore in this particular. I could think could be a lot of fun. The Mortuary Assistant is a terrifying game. Yes.
Oh,
I love the idea of the thing that the game does really, really well is you almost never get to play it the same way every single time. The scares are not pre-programmed. Well, there's a few that are pre-programmed, but like there are some that will randomly happen that you will never see. There's some scares that some people have seen and some have not. The thing that the game is very, very good at is putting stuff out in the corner of your eye and then taking it away before you can see exactly what it is. It is very good at creating ambiance and this terrifying. It definitely like Autopsy of Jane Doe kind of levels, but I think that what Mortuary Assistant brings to it is that there is a being out there that is trying to mess with you while you just trying to do your job. Mortuary Assistant is definitely a game that I would love to see adapted. I think if Five Nights at Freddy does well, I wouldn't be surprised if they start tackling some other horror games.
good thing you talk about horror games because I have one more horror game.
Yay.
It's like a yearly tradition for me to play this game. And it got a pseudo sequel later. Same studio and it kind of has the same mechanics, so I kind of feel like it's a sequel. But the first one's still the best. Until Dawn.
Yeah.
And yes, I know Until Dawn is just every teen slasher movie in the woods ever, but I don't care. I love that subgenre. I don't care if it's good or not. I watched The Faculty, for crying out loud. I love pulpy teenagers just getting slaughtered in the woods. That sounds wonderful to me. Especially if there's only like one or two famous people and a whole bunch of unknowns. That's Until Dawn. Actually, Until Dawn, whoever did the casting for that was way ahead of the curve because you had Hayden Panettiere before her big comeback in Scream, but more importantly, you had Rami Malek. One of the hottest names in Hollywood now. But also, I called what his role would be in the story a mile away. Even when a quote-unquote plot twist happens, I'm going, no. I've seen movies before. I know where this is going. But also, the game that is supposed to be about choice, there's a very critical thing that happens to this person that you don't have the choice to do. So the fact that this one element gave me no choice makes me go, I'm suspicious of this immediately. Also, I like movies about urban legends, hence why I watched yet another 90s slasher movie, Urban Legends, starring Jared Leto and Michael Rosenbaum. Not great, but it's whatever. It's supposed to be getting rebooted. And the Wendigo is not one of my favorite urban legends, but the way that Until Dawn does it, I would love to see that in a movie. Wendigo is a creature that I think more movies should tap into. I think that's a really, really cool mythos. Until Dawn is just a fun movie. I know Netflix toiled with it for a little bit with, what was it called? Netflix did a choose your own story type of thing, but I forget what it was like, what the series that belonged to. I don't want this to be a Netflix movie, and I get that a big part of Until Dawn is being a choose your own adventure story. Just make it a traditional narrative, but set it in like this nice snowy woods in the middle of nowhere. Could be fun. Throw in Wendigos. I'm all on board. I do Until Dawn at least once or twice a year. My goal is to always try and make it to save as many people as possible. I have never 100%. Except for that one person.
I've played through it a couple times, and every single time there's always like one or two characters. And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't care. There's no scenario in this game that this game will put me in that will make me want to save you. Like, nope, I'm good. And I think we both know which characters those are too.
It's just one. It's what's her face? I forget the names, but
she's awful. It's just a joke, Han.
Her. That's who it is. I always try and kill her.
I hate her so much.
She's the worst.
She's absolutely, literally almost everybody has a redemption arc in the game if you play it enough times, except for her. And anyway, we could talk about Until Dawn forever. I still am kind of.
Corey's fine.
Josh, honestly, like given what he's gone through and kind of everything that
Oh, for a second there, I thought you were just talking about yourself in the third person. I was very confused.
No. But Josh is like his arc is, I think, one of my favorites in the games because it makes the most sense. I think he's regardless of if you're able to call what he is in the story from a mile away, I do like what he does in the story, and I think it's completely justified because it's just a prank. Um, let's talk about some weird stuff though, because I've got a couple, I've got a couple, like two or three that are horror adjacent.
Yeah, I got one, two that are horror adjacent, maybe three.
Yeah. I'm currently, I want to bring up BioShock because it is something that it has been rumored for so long. I have finally played through the first one. I'm in the middle of playing through the second one. I would love to see this unfold in front of me in a movie scenario. Honestly, the first game is like, I want to say 6 hours at most. So super easy to condense that down because most of that is just me going from room to room, making sure I completely loot everything because I'm a complete loot goblin when it comes to these games. But yeah, BioShock is such an interesting story. And I don't see how it's got like such a very specific look. The only problems I can see is there's very specific like moral decisions that you're given, whether to save or to kill the little sisters, that I can see. To be fair, in the game, it is way more beneficial to save them every single time. I can see them just saving them every single time, and everyone being like, oh, that's the cheap way out, but like it makes the most sense at the same time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I also had BioShock on my list too, just because I feel like any list or any conversation always puts BioShock at the top of the list, and it's been in and out of production multiple times. It's been more stop-start than Uncharted, I feel like, ever since the game came out. I feel like Guillermo del Toro's name was attached at one point or another, or some other big names were attached to it at one point or another.
God, I would have ate that up.
I don't know what the current status of it is. But also, you talk about choice with BioShock. I played a little bit of it. It's just not my type of movie. It's just not my type of game. But you talk about choice. I could see an Undertale movie very clearly.
Yeah.
It had to be animated, but I could see an
absolutely.
Undertale story coming to fruition in an interesting way. I think I'll save this one for last. That was going to be a horror adjacent related title, but I have 6 more. How many more you got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't count apparently.
Nothing new there.
Yep. Let me knock out a couple here. Let's go with, I would love a either TV or show that is kind of The Martian kind of feel. If we did a Subnautica movie, would be that to me, like not necessarily put Matt Damon in the ocean kind of thing, but doing Subnautica, but like exact kind of like in the vein of The Martian, but he doesn't get saved. I feel like it would have to be a show, just because of the sheer volume of stuff that happens in the show, or in the game. I don't see how you can do that in 2 to 3 hours. So I would want a show on it, but easily something that could be terrifying. I think you could absolutely do either animated or live action. I'd prefer live action. I think it would work better, but I can see either way. Subnautica absolutely would be a really fun adaptation, I think. Another one, I think it just had a remake. This is another one of those that has been in and out of production, start and stop, all that. Dead Space, I think, especially with the success of the recent remake, that is that's such an easy go. Like, give me a space shooter with like terrifying zombies that's not like Doom. so the movie. Sorry, I love the game. I almost put Doom on this list, but it was like, but they've made a Doom movie. Oh, screw you.
For an honorable mention, I almost put it on my list, but I'm just like, it becomes tricky as soon as I say what the title is. Alien Isolation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Because
I would love that.
It's tricky though because it's based off a movie property. But given how we saw Prey revitalize the Predator franchise in a really clever and unique original way, I think Alien Isolation cracked the code of how to do a good alien movie. You basically have a person answer a distress call. It does not have to be a Ripley, because I think that kind of hinders you a little bit, making it a Ripley like it is in the game. But make it like somebody that's like a rogue space cop, go for a distress signal, and it's just no one there, or so it seems. Naturally, there's some bad guys there as well as the
gosh,
thing.
That's a callback. I loved Alien Isolation. Spoilers, I guess. I love that there's not just one. I love that you end up having to run from multiples. I love that the humans don't automatically turn into absolute psychopaths. They do, but not all of them. Like, I love that. Like, there's so much to love there. And Alien Isolation, I didn't put it on the list because technically Aliens,
it's in a weird middle ground,
like weird gray area. But Alien Isolation absolutely deserves an adaptation. Gosh, what a game! What a game!
Okay, it could kind of fit in that horror category. I know some people might disagree with me here, but this also kicks off my 2 Star Wars titles. I would absolutely love a Republic Commando movie.
Give me okay.
I know people will be like, but Bad Batch is a thing. Shut up.
But also the Commandos have made an appearance in Bad Batch, so it is absolutely within the realm of possibility. I don't know about you, but as like this little like 13, 14-year-old kid, when I saw the Commandos and seeing clone troopers like destroy people was the coolest thing on the face of the planet. Still is cool. Bad Batch is fine, but give me Commandos, please. Yes,
Republic Commandos. I didn't play it until much later, but I distinctly remember the trailers being everywhere. And guys, there has never been better video game trailers than the ones for Republic Commando, of almost this like small unit against the world. It almost had like a horror vibe in the trailers, and just chef's kiss of just this small group of commandos, the best of the best, going on essentially a suicide mission. Bad Batch, except live action and better, I think.
And they stab people in the head, you know, that kind of stuff.
Just Republic Commando, ever since the game came out, I'm just like, well, how is no one thinking about doing this? I know people are just like, well, I want a Force Unleashed movie. I'm like, do you though?
I do. Okay, hold on. I do. That would be so fun. Are you kidding me? If they make a nod, if we don't, all fingers point away from it. But if they make a nod to it in Jedi Survivor, I swear I will literally, my brain would blow up. I mean, there's not much left, but that's not the point. It would literally blow up. Gosh, it would be so cool.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, Josh, because I need a movie with Cal Kestis and BD1. It doesn't necessarily have to be an adaptation of Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor. This is going to sound like blasphemy coming from Josh and I. If Cal Kestis ever shows up in live action form, whether it's in Mando, in a movie, or whatever else, I will be more excited for that than the return of Ezra. As much as I love Ezra, Cal Kestis.
I would pop so hard.
Cal Kestis, I think, is one of my favorite characters that's been introduced over the past couple of years. Also, BD1 is the bestest boy ever, and don't you dare do anything to harm him. I was about ready to murder Darth Vader myself at the end of Fallen Order, just going, don't you dare touch my boy. I gave him a new coat of paint and everything. Like, the characters, not just Cal, but Grease. Who is this? Who is the sister, the Night Sister?
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name.
She was great.
Just even having like the Night Sister show up in live action would be awesome. Please, can we not do that, please? Oh my!
And just
what if they show up in Mangold's film and they're like one of the like offshoots of the original Force users, and that's why they're so different from like the Sith. Like, oh, bro.
They talked about that a little bit in. They talked about that a little bit in Jedi Fallen Order of just like what is it? Who was the dark haired the gray bearded guy with the double lightsabers that you fight?
The guy that like you think is like a Sith is like trying to help you or whatever.
Yeah, the shirtless dude that looks like a hobo.
Yes.
Yeah, they were talking about something about him of like him twisting their ancient teachings or whatever else. But Cal Kestis is one of my favorite characters. Just adapt him in live action in some form or another, and I'll be very, very happy. Also, the glorious thing about Cal Kestis, you can just bring back Dominic Monaghan. You don't have to recast or anything. He's literally perfect. Like, Sam Witwer has aged out of being Starkiller for Force Unleashed, even though he looked exactly like his character, obviously. Dominic Monaghan, you strike while that ginger's hot.
Which is always. He's always been hot. Are you kidding me?
He's always been ginger.
But yeah, no, like I'm trying to think timeline-wise.
Gosh dang it, you could say he was whatever else, but he was clearly Joker.
Yes. He timeline-wise, that would be during Mando timeline, wouldn't it?
No.
Or is that after? That'd be after sequel.
That's set before A New Hope.
Oh man.
Because Vader.
Oh yeah, duh. I'm stupid. Oh man, but yeah. Man, that kind of takes him out of contention for some of the stuff that we're doing right now in Star Wars.
Not necessarily.
We'll see. I guess we'll find out in Survivor. So let's talk about a game that I know you just purchased. Metroid Prime has needed an on-screen adaptation for so long. Has it? Is it not? It's not in current development, right?
This is my number one. This is not just because I have sunk so many hours into this over the past week or two, and as childhood, but it's so hard to describe for people that haven't played it, and also in this era of everything's a first-person shooter. And it's gonna sound weird and pretentious how I describe it, but the vibes in Metroid Prime are just different. It is not your average first-person shooter. The music is perfect. Every single scene. It's like this weird, mysterious ambiance everywhere you go of you never fully feel safe. It's a weird environment. It's this unfolding mystery that normally games spell everything out for you. Your enjoyment or how much lore you get out of it is 100% up to you, and how much like you feel like scanning material, how much you feel like investing in backtracking and whatnot and getting every little secret uncovered. But Samus is an interesting enough protagonist. Granted, you run into the Mando problem of they don't speak much and they almost always have their helmet on, at least for the Prime games. I love the setup for Prime of just, who is Samus? You just land on this pirate ship that promptly blows up in the first 20 minutes of you playing it, and then you gotta recover your gear while uncovering this interesting mystery that's never blatantly spelled out for you. Also, in this world of a lot of first-person shooters start to blend together, like, is this Battlefield? Is it Call of Duty? Metroid has this very beautiful and distinct visual flair to it. All the worlds look different, but it's like this old aesthetic mixed with like Blade Runner aesthetic at times. It's like retro, but futuristic at the same time. It's just also sound design is perfect. If you say for the teaser trailer, you get some great shots, see the morph ball at least once, see the phasma cannon, and then just get Metroid Prime, that like the save music, sold, buying my ticket, day one, don't care. Samus versus Dark Samus, Samus versus Ridley, I don't care. Metroid Prime movie needs to be somewhere. And a beautiful thing, it could be live action, it could be animated. Get Charlize Theron to be Samus, please.
Oh yes, yes, please.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Are you kidding me? Oh, that would be great. But I think there's so much you can do. Because okay, personally, and people hate me for this, but my first real introduction to Metroid was Metroid Hunters on the DS, which is
not that bad.
It's not bad, but for everybody else to say like, no, this is like not what Metroid is. And to me, I was very much like, but it's great. This is so much fun. What are you talking
Metroid's
about?
been different things. It was a side scroller, it was an open world game. It was whatever.
Anyway, it's just nerds being terrible. But yeah, that was my first interaction. I by the way, I take it that your playthrough of the Metroid Prime remake is going very well.
So I've run into a snag. Run into a snag is the problem. There's the section that I'm at. It's not that it's hard, but it's a ridiculously long time between saves.
Oh, that's the worst.
So it's like I've really mastered like how to beat the enemies, but I still will take some hits, and it's just like another room, another room, another room, and it's the longest I've ever gone without a save file, and it's just freaking annoying because I've gone like 2 or 3 times, and I've just gone, all right, I'm finally here. Balls, it's another room. Come on, guys. And it's at that point of like, I don't know why, but normally when you kill an enemy, they'll drop some stuff. They keep dropping missiles. I don't need missiles. I need health, and no one's dropping health, so I can't get anything back.
That's
so
a whole mood.
Just like, stop adding rooms. If I go back, like if I clear out 5 rooms and I backtrack to go to save, if I go back the way I came, all those people are gonna respawn. Like, I'm going this ridiculously long time with no save spot, and it's annoying the crap out of me. Like, it's going well. I've gone farther in it now than I ever did when I played it on the GameCube, but I'm just going, who did the level design for this? I feel like I've gone a couple miles before I've gotten a save space, and also you ramped up the difficulty on the bosses. So either the bosses should not do as much damage as they're doing, or when I kill them, drop health, or move a save space over. I just went from playing Metroid to Dark Souls, basically.
What if, and this is something that I'm dealing with right now because I'm among other things playing through the Mega Man X games because I got the like package or whatever for like $10 or something like that. Gosh dang, those games are hard. Because if you just as a side scroller, if you just go back, all the enemies you just killed respawn. So like, I literally will like dodge out of the way after after like killing a bunch of enemies, and then I'll go okay, and then they're all back, and it was like, God, come on, let me live. Anyway, back to video game adaptations. Let's talk, and I'm gonna get these 2 out of the way because I think this is not going to be, Nate's not going to be surprised at this at all for me.
Do I have this one too?
Probably. Star Fox needs to be
Adventures.
Absolutely. Star Fox needs to be it. Like, this just, there's a world, the lore is so integral that having a space battle would be so much fun. I would dare say, for the sake of saying screw you to the furries, let's do this as an anime. Like,
okay, I thought you were saying let's do live action. I'm going, oh
no live action on this. I don't think that there's a way to do that, especially with some of the characters that come later into the lore. There's no way to do this where it's not like a little weird. So let's just do an anime style Star Fox game, like, show. Just, like, bring up Andros like season 2. Let's make it Fox v Wolf for your first season.
Oh, okay.
And like emphasize that Wolf killed his father. Make sure that like those details are in there. Maybe not make Slippy annoying. Play up the pep. Play up the fact that Peppy is this like surrogate father figure. Make Falco the cool guy he is,
because Falco's
he is the best character in that game.
No, dude,
yes,
my favorite.
Yes,
my favorite by far is Wolf. Wolf was
okay,
so
that's fair.
cool.
Wolf is so cool.
All right, moment of clarity here, people. I had the GameCube growing up. That was my console. I had it like the last year that they made stuff. So I played Star Fox a lot. of all shooters, that's the game on GameCube that I played the most when it comes to shooters. So that multiplayer was surprisingly good.
Agreed.
Also, Wolf was a broken character in that game.
Yes. Oh, dude. That's why whenever
Like,
we got
he
friends
has
together,
ridiculous
we
amount of
banned
health.
him. Nobody can be Wolf. Nobody
he's
can be
like
Wolf.
Oddjob.
Yes.
But no, I've blocked so many hours in Star Fox, and I love that Star Fox on GameCube. But Star Fox, like Metroid, has such an interesting and unique aesthetic and world. It's human, but not familiar, but not. There's like dinosaurs. There's whatever the heck Slippy is. But
there's a giant like monkey head that it wants to control the universe.
Yeah,
like with Andros. Like that's there's so much fun. Like some of the worlds are really really interesting. A lot of fun. Like the tank is really cool. Just the A-wings in general have such vehicles. A really fun like aesthetic. There's just I think so many directions you could go that could be a lot of fun with Star Fox. Obviously, for obvious reasons, let us not do a live action. Do not want another Howard the Duck scenario. Could you imagine? Good, thank you.
I'd rather not imagine.
Yeah, actually, don't imagine. Nobody imagined that. The other one I think that is going to be pretty obvious to Nate, at least that I'd bring it up. We've brought Mario. We might as well give Sony's Golden Boy some shine. Either Crash or Spyro need their own movie. Like Spyro would be a lot of fun. I think he's a little easier to do because he does talk in the games. Also, just having a little dragon kick butt on screen would be a lot of fun. And yes, I hear you people. I hear you people that say that all that Spyro's been on screen and all the Skylanders. Oh, okay. He's been on screen, guys. He was in all the Skylanders commercials. That's cool. Don't care. Give me some Spyro. Like that needs to be the movie.
What an original concept for the podcast. Josh wants a really cool kick-ass dragon to get its own time to shine in a movie form. That's where I thought you were going with it. First Star Fox, now Spyro. Like, come on, man. You're getting repetitive.
I do. Okay, but like
now,
dragons are cool. Leave me alone.
I'll say one on behalf of you.
Okay.
I'll speak for you as I get into my last two.
You speak
here.
For the trees?
Huh?
So you speak for the trees?
I will speak like an ent now. Really draw out that listen time. No, I will speak for Josh when I say we need a Horizon Zero Dawn movie.
Yeah, it's not on my list, but yeah, absolutely.
Really? It's not on your list?
Yeah. Mostly because I think it is also why I kind of struggled at first, at least with the Last of Us recreation adaptation. And then I'm still struggling with the idea of a God of War adaptation is that the games are very movie-like. Obviously they're way longer. They have a lot more detail in them. You know, we're talking like 40 plus hours of gameplay. Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, though, out of those would definitely probably be able to be more of a streamlined kind of experience because the story is very, for the most part, streamlined. Yes, the game can take forever because I can literally go explore it anywhere. The game is beautiful. But I think, yeah, I would absolutely love to see an adaptation of that. I don't know how that would look. Who I would want to be Aloy. I definitely would love to see the animals, the robots, whatever, be like a pseudo like practical effect. Like, God, that would be so cool. Like a Star Wars practical effect for all the robots. Oh my gosh, that would be fun.
It's just that Horizon Zero Dawn has such a beautiful aesthetic. It's such a unique aesthetic. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And here's why.
I agree.
As someone that saw Uncharted opening night, don't know if it was worth it or not to see it opening night, but it was a good time for me. Uncharted is where they unveiled their new PlayStation Pictures like graphic logo or whatever else of just like the motion graphic PlayStation Pictures. In it, they showed Uncharted, got a movie, God of War, getting a TV series, and Horizon Zero Dawn. I would not be surprised at all if they are keen to turn that into some form of a movie or TV series. Also, if I remember right, it could just be my brain making it up. One of the other things that they showed was Astro from Astro's Playworld or Playroom.
Yeah.
So I'm going. I'm not gonna lie. If you did like animated shorts like you did with Toy Story with Astro's Playroom,
Dude.
good idea there, because that is an addicting game that should be a full-fledged game for the PS5 because that was
I
ridiculously fun.
Now that we say it, and like I obviously like this is not the discussion we're having, but PlayStation Pictures doing shorts, like Pixar style shorts for their games on
Yeah.
HBO Max would be a lot of fun. That would be super cool. Like way to introduce like a base level on like because you could get games that like don't necessarily deserve a full movie, but could be fun to explore. Obviously like the issue would be like you'd run into somebody would want to do like Aloy goes a day where Aloy goes to the market, and it's like, well, that doesn't. We want a full show of that of Aloy of for Horizon Zero Dawn, so that doesn't work. But like some of your smaller games that kind of don't need a full 2 hours or a full 10 episode show could be a lot of fun. That man, I need to be we need to be boardroom execs. Yeah, I can pitch stuff.
We have the wrong calling here.
Yes, we do. All right. Let me bring up.
I got
Yeah.
one
Oh
more.
well, I have 3, so let me drop 2 real quick here. One of, at least to me, was the game that got me into like the Dark Souls style games and those difficulties. Bloodborne is a incredibly hard game.
Yes.
But I think as much as like you can kind of tell where the studio decided to go in a more very specific artistic direction for each of their games. And to me, I think Bloodborne kind of starts that. Is this very like goth noir aesthetic that has like really creepy but awe-inspiring villains, and bad guys, and the bosses are equal parts horrifying and incredibly awe-striking. There's one that I remember that it like just like Bloodborne is one of those games. For those that don't know, there's a lot that goes into the lore, and like many FromSoft games, for better or for worse, a lot of the lore you have to go out and find. It is not spoon-fed to you, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I can see though, based on the lore because I'm not gonna go out and go find all the lore. I'm gonna play through the game, and then I'm gonna go watch videos of people finding the lore. It's incredibly interesting, and I feel like a 2-season 20 maybe 10 15 episode season show for Bloodborne would be so much fun. Make it live action, or honestly go Castlevania on it. Do that kind of anime style, but with Bloodborne. I would love that. It'd be so cool. The music's fantastic, graphics are fantastic, game is hard but rewarding at the same time. Bloodborne deserves it, absolutely. Talking while we're talking about games that are hard but rewarding, Cuphead got that adaptation to animation. It is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It kind of feels like a no-brainer. For me, another no-brainer I think is Hollow Knight. I have played the crap out of that game. I have never finished it because I was get distracted because of ADHD and all that. But like,
I was supposed to say, Josh never gets distracted.
Yeah, me never. But Hollow Knight is one of those games that has such deep lore and has such a unique aesthetic that even if it was just animated, I would eat that up. Now, live action would have to be like Jungle Book-esque live action, where it's like quote unquote live action, but it's definitely all CGI. I would eat that up. Hollow Knight is an incredible game with an incredible soundtrack. Game mechanics are hard and beautiful, but extremely rewarding. The lore is deep, and you could easily do like a 9-10 season show with Hollow Knight. It is so good, and I really kind of hope that they do more of it. We'll kind of see what they do with Silksong, which is the next game in the series that's coming out. We'll see what they do with that, and if that hopefully does well, we'll see. But yeah, love me some Hollow Knight. I have one more. What is your last one, sir?
My last one, I don't have the most conviction on,
Fair.
But I have the most conviction that it'll be the next announced after Mario, after the success of the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you've been watching our graphic for this entire discussion, it's Kirby. It's got to be
It's
Kirby.
gotta be.
It's amazing to me that we've gotten nothing since the animated series that was on around the same
Oh,
time as the Ninja Turtles from the 2000s, because I distinctly remember Kirby being on that DVD that was mysteriously sent to me that we talked about all those weeks ago. I remember Kirby was on that, Sonic X was on there, Ninja Turtles was on there.
dude.
Kirby is one of those of like, yeah, it's an iconic character, not in that same echelon as like a Sonic or a Mario, but people know who Kirby is. Also, in this age of Groguisms, people like things that are cute that could still destroy things, and that is
Yes.
Kirby to a T. Kirby sucks in the best possible way.
Now, I think the big question comes.
Animated.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way to make this not horrifying as if it's live action.
The question is, and I actually could go either way with this. Do you do hand drawn or do you do CG animated? I don't think CG animated would be necessarily the worst route we can go with it. I think Mario looks outstanding. It's one of the most visually gorgeous movies I've seen in a long time. I think Kirby could go either way. We've seen him made 2D animated. I'm not as familiar with Kirby's lexicon to know if he's gotten the 3D treatment. It probably has in recent memory.
Yeah, the recent game was
I thought so.
What is Final
Dream World?
Final Feast
Something Kirby. Something Kirby.
The most recent
on
one,
yeah.
Yeah, the most recent one, not the remake.
But anybody that's even played Smash knows that Kirby doesn't look like much, but has sneaky power. And I think you could also do a lot of fun, creative things with the power of him absorbing stuff. You can be very, very clever and creative with that. You would need someone to guide Kirby through the world to be the audience's surrogate, because Kirby's not the talking type, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think Kirby could absolutely be on the horizon, and I could see a Kirby and Mario crossover. I know the meme is, I'm here to talk to you about the Smash Brothers initiative. I think that would be fantastic. I don't think we'll ever get that. But
I don't see a world where Super Smash makes sense on screen.
After seeing Super Mario, though, and seeing how loyal they were to the source material for that and how much it embodied the essence of Mario and the world of shared cinematic universe that we live in, I think we go from 100% it's not a Smash Brothers movie is never happening to 70% likely that it's not going to happen. I still think nowadays with movies, you can never say never. And I think there's a better chance that Kirby crosses over with Mario than Sonic crossing over with Mario.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
In studio, I would love a Smash Brothers movie, but the problem is, what's the narrative there? Mortal Kombat, essentially, of whoever wins the Smash tournament.
No. I have been sitting on one that I didn't realize I needed, because there's
Animal
to
Crossing.
To be fair, there's a pilot and one other episode of this that they tried to make a show when Kirby was really big. F-Zero, Captain Falcon as a movie. Are you kidding me? That's easy.
Dude, I would love a Captain Fabulous movie.
Not Fabulous. Captain Falcon. Get out of here.
I know Captain.
Get out of here.
You know who Captain Fabulous is.
You're the one that like dresses him and puts him in full pink. And
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But
Granted,
F-Zero.
Yes,
F-Zero.
I am a Captain Falcon main, him and Ganondorf, because I will just spam the Falcon Punch. But no, Captain Fabulous is my option when someone else is playing as Captain Falcon, and you need to differentiate them. Although that would be a fun homage, is if you have a whole bunch of different Falcons. But now that you mention it, I would love an F-Zero movie. The thing is, current Nintendo doesn't know what F-Zero is.
Yeah, which is really sad, because like even having an F-Zero game would be so cool. Like it kind of sucks that like we have a Captain Falcon character who lives in infamy in the Super Smash games, but really don't have much as far as gaming to his name. It kind of makes me a little bitter because Fire Emblem is getting a ton of characters put into Smash, and I kind of wish, Captain Falcon had like a little bit something more to say. I almost said it, and I hate you for it. Okay, so my last one is, I don't think it's that surprising for anybody that knows me. I think it makes the most sense is if you want to make $1 billion.
Fortnite.
Titanfall. Titanfall makes so much sense.
Titanfall.
Yes, you're telling me you can have a world where like Real Steel and Pacific Rim kind of mix, like, but it's also like a military movie. God, that would be so cool.
As I didn't play the first Titanfall, but as someone who played Titanfall 2, I'd be down for that. The problem is, I'm probably one of the proud and the few that played Titanfall 2. Because
that's okay.
We
fair.
saw the sales numbers that plummeted between 1 and 2, which sucks because the second one is actually a really good, competent game, and I think there is stuff there, but I don't know if the brand is there.
To be fair,
Titanfall.
The brand is, because Respawn has been in the front of the BR thing with everything with Apex. Apex is in that world of Titanfall, so the brand is there. And we all know, and it has been rumored that they've been trying to do something with Titanfall for forever. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is, at the very least, an animated show like Riot-esque kind of Titanfall game happening. That would be so cool. I would love that. Oh my gosh.
So I call an audible and call one last one that I'm a little stronger in my convictions about than Kirby.
Okay.
This game came out, I believe, in between the first and second Titanfall, and came and had a huge hype, but it died really, really quickly, which sucks because the premise works. I think it could absolutely work for a movie. Evolve. For those that don't remember Evolve, that was like Dead by Daylight, except instead of a monster, except instead of a killer, it's one gigantic monster versus one squad of people. It's like 4 or 5 hunters versus one gigantic monster. Is it a little too Predator? Sure. But it's like a Jaeger almost from Pacific Rim versus humans. And I'm going, don't care. Make it happen. We will Rampage this. Make a Rampage movie. We've never done a Rampage movie before. At all. Ever. We've never done Rampage.
To be fair, you are correct. Dude, there's a game that I've just bought that I'm excited to play. That's called Dredge. It's basically a fishing sim, but like if you're not careful, there's eldritch horror monsters that you can pull up on accident and they will kill you. So there's that, like, which is super cool. Like, games are such a ripe opportunity
Papers,
for really.
Please.
Yeah, Papers. Oh my gosh, Papers, Please. Oh no, like there's so much like stuff like that, and that, like, especially in the horror space in gaming is incredible, and there's so much content there to be reaped that I think that the adaptations now, which is really crazy that we're coming full circle here, that because our first discussion that we ever did on the pod was about video game adaptations, and you were starchly on the side of they can absolutely work if they've done well, and I was starchly on the side of I don't think they're possible. I don't think you can ever do one that's really, really well. And then we saw Sonic, and then
which you said would flop
hard. I did, but to be fair, at the time when I said that, the only campaign we had was that first trailer, and that first trailer is awful. It's so bad.
It's the origin of the tinfoil hat theory of I still maintain that they were always going to change the design for Sonic. They just wanted to win over brownie points with people.
Maybe. But I think I still, at this point, we are in a golden age where adaptations make the most sense, and they can absolutely happen. I think if Sonic and Uncharted, really, even to its credit, and especially Mario has shown anything, if you are faithful to your fans and to your content, but and even Last of Us, especially if you are faithful to your content in the game that you are pulling from, you're not going to have an issue at all. Fans will show up for your movie. They will watch it. That's why I think movies like Doom never worked, because while they're kind of quote unquote like the game, they're also nothing like the game. And that's why like it's seen outside of other reasons, it's seen as one of the biggest one of the biggest failures when it comes to video game adaptations.
I wonder if Doom is why Dwayne Johnson never plays a villain besides Get Smart on like a
I
deep psychological level.
That's actually a good question. I kind of wonder that. Hmm.
The more you know, and thoughts to ponder for future episodes. Well, what do you guys think? What are some video games that you absolutely love that think could be translated to either movie or TV show, since that seems to be the popular trend nowadays? Let us know down in the comments below. We always like hearing from you guys. And as always, if you haven't already, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts. And if you haven't already, subscribed to us on YouTube. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.